Welcome viewers in the name of Zelengam Media. I bet you didn't know the story of the Kuki people and their ancestral lands is deeply woven into the fabric of history, a narrative that spans centuries and is rich with cultural significance. British colonial records offer compelling evidence of their long-standing connection to these territories, providing a window into the past that reveals the depth of their roots. In particular, the recognition of the Kuki Independence Hills country stands as a testament to their autonomy and sovereignty, a recognition that was not easily earned, but was a result of their persistent efforts. This designation, bestowed by the British, acknowledged the distinct identity and territorial rights of the Kuki people, setting them apart from other groups in the region. It underscored their unique position within the region, separate from neighboring groups and their claims, highlighting the Kuki's distinct cultural and social fabric. The acknowledgement of the Kuki Independence Hills country was not a mere formality, but a significant recognition of their historical and cultural identity. It stemmed from a recognition of the Kuki's distinct political and social structures, their customs, and their historical presence in the region, which were well documented and respected. British officials, through their interactions and treaties with the Kuki chiefs, came to understand the depth of their connection to the land, a connection that was both spiritual and practical. This understanding was reflected in their administrative policies, which often sought to work within the existing framework of Kuki governance rather than imposing a completely foreign system, showing a rare respect for indigenous governance. Furthermore, the British recognition of Kuki territories was not an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of acknowledgement and respect for their autonomy. It was corroborated by numerous reports, surveys, and correspondences from the period, all of which consistently supported the Kuki's claims to their lands. These documents consistently portray the Kukis as a distinct and independent people, with their own laws, customs, and territories, a portrayal that has stood the test of time. The evidence gleaned from these historical records provides a powerful counter-narrative to any attempts to portray the Kukis as recent migrants or encroachers on others' lands, firmly establishing their historical presence. The weight of historical evidence, particularly from the British colonial period, leaves no room for doubt. The Kukis are the rightful custodians of their ancestral lands, a fact that is irrefutable. The designation of the Kuki Independence Hills country serves as a powerful reminder of their historical autonomy and their enduring bond with the land, a bond that has been recognized and respected for generations. This recognition, enshrined in official records, provides a crucial foundation for understanding the Kuki people's claims today, offering a historical context that is essential for contemporary discussions. It is a testament to their resilience, their deep-rooted connection to their territory, and their enduring struggle for recognition and self-determination, a struggle that continues to this day.
The notion that the Kukis are outsiders or refugees within their own territory is a fallacy, contradicted by centuries of historical presence. The Kuki people have a rich and storied history that is deeply intertwined with the land they inhabit. To label them as such is to disregard the intricate tapestry of their existence, woven into the very fabric of the land. Their culture, traditions, and way of life are all reflections of their deep connection to their homeland. The Kuki people have not arrived as strangers but have been an integral part of the landscape for generations. Their presence is not a recent phenomenon but a testament to their enduring legacy. Their history is not one of recent migration but of deep-rooted ancestry, their presence etched into the hills and valleys they call home. The land itself bears witness to their long-standing relationship with it. This misconception of the Kukis as outsiders often stems from a limited understanding of their traditional way of life. Their customs and practices are often misunderstood or overlooked. As a people who practice shifting cultivation, their movement within their territories was not arbitrary, but followed the rhythms of nature and the demands of their agricultural practices. This method of farming was sustainable and in harmony with the environment. This mobility, however, should not be mistaken for transience or a lack of attachment to their land. It was a strategic and thoughtful approach to land use. Rather, it reflects a deep understanding of the environment and a sustainable way of life that has allowed them to thrive for centuries. Their practices ensured the health and fertility of the land for future generations. To equate their movement within their territories with being outsiders is to fundamentally misunderstand the nature of their existence. Their mobility was a part of their identity and survival strategy. It is akin to suggesting that nomads, by virtue of their migratory patterns, have no claim to the lands they have traversed for generations. Such a view is both simplistic and erroneous. The Kuki people, like many indigenous communities around the world, have a profound and sacred connection to their land, a connection that transcends fixed boundaries and sedentary lifestyles. Their spiritual and cultural practices are deeply rooted in their environment. The Kuki people's claim to their ancestral lands rests not on recent arrival, but on the unshakable foundation of their historical presence, their cultural practices, and their spiritual connection to the land. This connection is a vital part of their identity. To deny this is to deny them their history, their identity, and their rightful place within the tapestry of their homeland. It is an erasure of their contributions and significance. It is a denial that flies in the face of historical evidence and perpetuates a harmful narrative that seeks to undermine their legitimate claims. Recognizing the Kuki people's rightful place is essential for honoring their legacy and ensuring justice.
The political boundaries that define present-day Manipur, India, Bangladesh, and Burma, Myanmar, are relatively recent constructs, superimposed upon a landscape with its own rich history and intricate complexities. These boundaries, largely drawn in the 1940s during the upheaval of decolonization and further solidified in 1972 with the reorganization of Indian states, do not reflect the organic development of communities and their historical territories. Instead, they were often drawn with little regard for the existing social and cultural landscapes. The arbitrary nature of these lines on a map has had profound implications for the Kuki people, whose ancestral lands often straddle these newly created borders. This has led to a fragmentation of their traditional territories, impacting their way of life. Prior to the imposition of these rigid boundaries, the Kuki people moved freely within their territories, maintaining social, cultural, and economic ties across what are now international borders. Their movement was not restricted by the artificial lines that now divide their lands. The establishment of these boundaries disrupted traditional patterns of life, divided communities, and created a sense of artificial separation. Families and communities that once lived in harmony found themselves on opposite sides of newly drawn borders. It is crucial to recognize that these political demarcations did not erase the historical connections, shared heritage, and sense of kinship that continued to bind Kuki communities across these newly drawn lines. Despite the imposed divisions, the Kuki people have strived to maintain their cultural unity. The imposition of these boundaries has often been used to question the legitimacy of the Kuki people's claims to their ancestral lands. This has led to numerous disputes and conflicts over land rights and recognition. However, it is essential to remember that these boundaries are recent constructs, superimposed upon a much older tapestry of history and cultural identity. The Kuki people's connection to their land predates these political lines by centuries. To argue that the Kukis are outsiders, simply because their traditional territories now fall within different nation-states, is to prioritize artificial political lines over the realities of history and cultural belonging. The Kuki people's identity is deeply intertwined with their ancestral lands. The Kuki people's deep connection to their ancestral lands predates the creation of these modern-day political boundaries. Their history and culture are embedded in the very soil of these lands. Their claim to these territories is rooted in centuries of continuous presence, cultural practices, and a profound spiritual bond with the land. This connection is not something that can be easily severed by political decisions. The arbitrary nature of these imposed boundaries cannot erase the historical realities or diminish the legitimacy of the Kuki people's claims to their ancestral homeland. The Kuki elders often recount stories and histories that reinforce their deep-rooted connection to the land. It is essential to view these boundaries within a broader historical context and recognize that they cannot be used to deny the Kuki people their rightful heritage. Understanding the full scope of their history and cultural identity is crucial in addressing their claims and rights. Subscribe to Zelengam Media for more insights on Kuki history and culture.